Alright, what's going on everybody? Today we're checking out some interesting changes that they made to the game. So Schultz, Worrigans, and Basilisk got changed around to where they're now group content, which is a step in the right direction, but I am a little upset that I lost my power leveling spots. Like Schultz was fire for power leveling and Worrigans was actually pretty good too. Now, I will say that this is no way, shape, or form an accurate video as to how good these spots are now, because I'm currently unsure. I just went there solo to test the damage and stuff, just to see like what I could do and how AP would work and DP and do they hit hard, so on and so on. And as far as I can tell, it seems that the mobs are AP capped, which are fine. Like that's fine. I don't really hate that. I do think that it's a bit strange that they're AP capped. I guess it wouldn't make much sense to not AP cap them, because then what would be the point of the group content? You could be like, oh guys, fucking just run me through shoals, please. It'd be like trees, you know what I'm saying? People would, 3-man trees and then have 2 leech, whatever. Or they would have, people collect trash loot while the other one's just carrying them, I take people to trees all the time that are like subpar, DPS, like 220 AP or something. So to combat that, they decided to AP cap these areas so that way you can't just recruit, a super high guildie or a person that's really, saucy with the gear and just rolls up and just destroys the area. Because I came here really like just fully ready to smash this place and be like, I can still do it. And yeah, no, you can't. Schultz is capped at 220, Bassies is capped at 190, and Worrigans is 165. And that is like no higher, no less. Like I am well above both of these areas by a lot of AP. And it took me forever to drop these mobs. It was super not worth it just to even grind there solo. I think the strange part about this one, other than just, AP capping things, is that the trash loot didn't really get updated. However, the mobs in the way they conduct themselves have changed. So Schultz, there's this weird event that shows up. Normally it's a Kunga, and I'm honestly not even sure if Kunga still spawns, but there's these random like mercenaries that show up, and there's one called like a violent mercenary or something like that, and he's like mega tanky. He takes forever to kill, and he's like he doesn't really hit too hard, but he just is super tanky. So he didn't really drop anything either, so like the loot's kind of mediocre, which we'll talk about loot in a moment. But outside of Schultz, you have that like violent mercenary that shows up with a group of mobs, which is pretty cool. I got that like back to back 3 times or something. And Bassies, it's now these weird snakes, which they've always been, but there's these snake statues, and you go to them and you pretty much summon a bunch of basilisks and you just fight them a shit ton of times. It took me forever to get this down and to even like remotely, run out of mobs. And I honestly don't even think I ever did. I was sitting here fighting the basilisk for like a solid 10 minutes, and I didn't even have to move to like a different node or anything. It just like, it took me that long to kill them that it was just not worth it. So I just like left. Then I went down to Worrigans, which was probably the worst one out of all of them in terms of soloing. The Worrigan, like the big daddy Worrigan, that shit is so tanky for no reason. That thing is stupid tanky. For what my AP actually is, and I understand the AP cap, that hurt my soul physically. I was there for a solid like 10 minutes just beating the shit out of the big Worrigan. And as it summons the mobs, which it doesn't conduct itself like it used to, where it would hide in the ground and then, it would summon mobs or whatever. It doesn't really do that anymore. It now just sits there in the ground. Like you have to get it down to a certain amount of health, and then it goes into the ground and summons the mobs, not the other way that it used to be. So this is very different, but the mobs do seem to be more dense and there's a lot more. So that's actually, I guess, a plus. Once you do kill the big one, it drops 40 of the trash loot, which is worth like 3k or something like that. And Bassies is still worth 3k as well. Until I thoroughly test these grind spots, I cannot say whether or not this is a good change or a bad change. It seems like a good change because people have been asking for group content for a very long time now. However, if the group content sucks, it doesn't matter. See, there's a reason right now that Paddocks Island is usually empty, or at least only has very few people, and it's because it's the same amount of trash loot at trees, but with more effort, more extra steps just to even get there. Why go to Paddocks Island when you can go to trees? Sure, the drops are better at Paddocks, but you have to get them still. And right now, it's been 2 weeks since I've seen a fucking Voltara belt or a distortion. So I'm just like, I'm good, bro. So we apply that logic to these spots right here, where essentially the only logic is if you're not making 50 million, you might as well go somewhere else. Not to mention that they changed it to group content. Now you have to kind of facilitate this communicative side of the, player base, where it was built around soloing. This game has been built around solo for such a long time. It's always had a nasty habit of just, conducting itself in such a solo player manner. And now they're taking this weird direction into trying to implement more group content, which, like I said, I think is great. But it has to be worth it, and it has to make sense, and you also have to come up with ways to make it easy for players to find groups to do these events. Sure, guilds could be like, hey, let's go, farm Warrigans or whatever, but what's the point? You know what I'm saying? If you're not making money, why would you do that? There was a reason that Warrigans was never really farmed before, and that's because Serap's necklaces are garbage, and the trash loot, you were making like maybe 30 mil an hour. So if that has not changed, the point still stands and the problem is still there, that these spots are no longer worth it. So my hope and somewhat small prediction would be that I really would like to see an update to the point where at least these spots all yield around 40 to 50 and hopefully even 60 to 70 mil per hour. If that is achievable and very possible, then this is really, really, really good. This takes away all the need of going to trees, going to all these, other spots, and it opens up group content to the community where other options are there. However, outside of that, if it's still like 20, 30 mil an hour and you have to now find 2 other people to join you just to make any money here, you just added extra steps to an already bad spot. So I'm hoping that it's at least better, but until I test it, we'll see. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, she knows I'm the one. Yeah, she knows I don't need no kind, I don't need no